Dr. Gleb Tsipursky, the CEO of Disaster Avoidance Experts. Well, the future of the office is clearly going to be bifurcated. So there are a number of companies that are having people come to the office 3, 4, 5 days a week. On the other hand, I'm working with a number of clients who are actually doing the reverse, who currently have an approach of 3 days in the office, and they're transitioning to be more flexible, to have more flexibility for their team members and having their team leads decide on how often people need to come to the office. In fact, you're kind of seeing a bifurcation with the largest companies tend to have more people coming to the office, but smaller and mid-sized companies tend to be offering more flexibility because that's what attracts talent. And so smaller and mid-sized companies, they rely much more on talent than large companies, which rely more on systems and processes. The main question they need to ask is, what is the office for anyway, right? That is the fundamental question that I don't see leaders asking nearly often enough. The battle tends to be, are we coming to the office 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week? And it tends to pit managers against their employees. So what you really want to answer in a way that's credible for employees is, what is the office for anyway? Why are we coming to the office? And that is the fundamental question that should drive everything. Well, the fundamental question that should drive everything is, of course, what is client value? And that is what the office is for. So given that there's client value, why are we coming to the office? What is the office for with the goal of giving client value? And then what is the home for with the goal of giving client value? And we pretty clearly see that there are 4 things that are best done in the office. There's socializing, so team bonding and so on. There's more intense forms of synchronous collaboration. There's nuanced conversations, whether it's about performance, whether it's about leadership conveying strategy, whether it's about conflict resolution, and mentoring and on-the-job training. So those 4 things are definitely best done in the office. And what's best done at home is your individual head-down work, programming, research, coding, design, all these sorts of things. Video conference calls. Absolutely no need to go to the office and distract everyone with your video conference calls. And then your asynchronous communication. Things like Slack, Microsoft Teams messages, emails, of course. Those are things that are best done at home. So when you want to be thinking about how often are you coming to the office, you want to be thinking about what's the breakdown of time that you're actually spending on these things, and how do you arrange your time so that you minimize the commute for your employees. Because people hate the commute. That's the top reason that they don't like the office. The main value is when you're having people, so what the main value that Join is providing and other companies like that are providing, and I recommend to my clients these sorts of companies, is to actually see and track what their people are doing in the office. What are they doing in the office? What kind of activities are going on? Because companies don't have inherent visibility. It's not like they can actually easily go to their employee and say, what are you doing every hour, every minute that you're in the office, right? And what kind of activities are happening, what's the impact on the building as a result. So if employees are doing stuff in the office, the employer doesn't necessarily know what they're doing and how they're spending their time and the kind of interactions they're having with the building. So if the employer knows what they're doing with the building, they can use that building space much more efficiently and much more effectively to meet their needs. That means whether they're downsizing their portfolio, that's certainly a question that I get asked often by my clients, thinking about that. But more often it's about changing the office. So right now, the typical office is set up mostly for individual work. But the office is a much better space for collaboration, like I talked about. So synchronous collaboration, conversations, socializing, mentoring on the job training, all of those things those are 4 different activities, right? And they all need specific forms of configuration. Some configurations can satisfy a number of those, but let's say collaboration. You need certain huddle rooms and so on. Let's say mentoring on the job training, the huddle room is not the best setup for that, right? So you need to think about what's the best setup for that. And companies like Join can help see, okay, when employees are doing mentoring and on-the-job training, what does that look like? And how does technology facilitate mentoring and on-the-job training? How does the space of the office facilitate that? So that's what I think where Join can provide the most value. I think the main thing you want to do is let people lead. So let employees lead, trust them. The biggest challenge I see is a lack of trust in employees. And what you really want to do is you want to show your employees that you trust them. And then Well, you trust them to figure out how to use the office. Then when you're observing, okay, here's how they naturally use the office, then you can support them in their use of the office in what's naturally most fitting. So you're seeing they're using some part of the office more frequently, some less frequently. Maybe you want to revise more of the office to be like that. And you want to, of course, do some surveys and so on. But that's the key thing. Let people's use of the space, that human-centered design, let that drive everything.